What is sex supposed to be? Did you know that you can have sex that glorifies God? Wait, what? Isn't that weird? Doesn't the Bible tell us not to have sex? Well, stay tuned to find out how you can honor the Lord in your sex life and have amazing biblical sex. Hi, this is Jen with Captivated by Him. Do you know what sex is supposed to be like? Well, today I'm going to tell you. In the Bible, in the second chapter, Genesis 2, God created the first marriage between Adam and Eve. And right after Adam meets his wife Eve and says that she shall be called woman, it says in the Bible, in Genesis 2:24-25, "For this reason a man shall leave his father and his mother and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. And the man and his wife were both naked and were not ashamed." A pretty general statement after a very personal narrative between Adam and Eve. Why? It's because they had sex. And this is actually before the fall. So the natural conclusion is this was not sinful. Sex isn't sinful. That means Adam and Eve had some pretty righteous sex. And you can have righteous sex too. God created sex to thrive within the pure context of marriage, in which He created a man and woman to have physical intimacy. But it's not only physical, it's also spiritual, mental, and emotional. Sex the way that God intended is the best sex ever, and God tells us how to have great sex. If you think about it, that makes sense, because He's the one who created it. And of course, God would tell His children the best way to have sex. Again, within the boundaries and security of marriage between a man and a woman. And guess what? You can glorify God through sex. 1 Corinthians 10:31 says, "Whether then you eat or drink or whatever you do, do all to the glory of God." Whatever you do, do to the glory of God. That's whatever, even sex with your husband. Or if you're not married yet, waiting until you are married to have sex. Having sex to God's glory doesn't have to make sex solemn. In fact, there can be a lot of joy, thanksgiving, and genuine love between a couple who knows that they can engage in sex as something that God designed for them to do together. And that should bring such awe and wonder and enjoyment during sex. You're not robbing someone of something deep and intimate like you would be if you were having sex outside of the boundaries of marriage. If you want to learn more about sexual immorality, you can watch our video that we have in the links below. And also subscribe to our channel to learn more about biblical living. We love to cover all of these topics about how to glorify God in your life and be captivated by our loving God. Not only is sex within marriage something that's enjoyable, but it also should be held in high honor. And sadly, that's not something the world does today. In fact, the world would make out married sex to be something that's boring. But the Bible tells us in Hebrews 13:4a that marriage is to be held in honor among all, and the marriage bed is to be undefiled. We as men and women can be so thankful that we can have pure sex the way God intended and designed for us to do. Let me share with you a tip that I've heard from some married women. If you want to have righteous sex, you should pray with your spouse before having sex. You can pray that your sex would be glorifying to God and also that it would build up your marriage. You can pray for selflessness and clear communication during your time of intimacy. And you can pray for Christ-like attitudes for both of you that are beautiful in the sight of God and that really please Him. I bet you didn't know that so much pleasure, and not merely physical pleasure, could come from sex. But it can if you choose to have sex God's way and are submissive in your sexuality. And check out our other videos on purity to get excited about how we can live in obedience to God's word. So many blessings can come when we live in submission to God, who created the whole world, and man, and woman, and sex, to be shared in the pure confines of marriage. Hope you're excited about sex, purity, and living God's way. And until next time, stay captivated. Within